Welcome in to the Football Kingdom podcast. Well, it's finally here. Week 1 is upon us. We have managed to endure the 6-month drought of football every Sunday. Tyler Mallon is with me. I'm Brandon Johnson. Let's take a look at what's going on opening week of the NFL season. So, obviously, Thursday Night Football, the Super Bowl champion Kansas City Chiefs will be hosting the Detroit Lions. Likely without their star defensive tackle, Chris Jones. Tyler, it is looking more and more like Chris Jones is going to be holding out for at least this week, if not longer.
Yeah, they did come out with a report. Mike Florio said that the Chiefs offered him $19 million, or I'm sorry, 74 over the next 3 years, which $70 million to be guaranteed, and that basically, Aaron Donald is getting 95 over 3 years, and Jones would take 84 million over the next 3 years. So that's what it is.
Okay. So it's 11 million less than Aaron Donald.
Right.
Now, so for me, I find this whole Chris Jones thing interesting because you miss training camp, you miss preseason, whatever. We'll see you in week 1. But when you start to miss regular season games, what are you hoping to gain? Are you hoping that the Chiefs get blown out by the Lions, or the Chiefs defense has given up 30 points a game and you think that Brett Veach is going to react to that and give you more? What's your hope for missing games if you're Chris Jones? It just doesn't make sense to me.
And I don't really understand it either, because if they're going to pay you that, how much more do you need? Exactly. What's his number is my thing. It's like they're going to pay you just under perhaps one of the greatest players of all time. Do you really think you're worth as much as him? I don't think so. Come on.
And that's the thing. So Aaron Donald, like we would all agree, yeah, like you just said, Aaron Donald is one of the greatest players of all time. And Chris Jones, while he's probably one of the top 5 defensive players in the league, he doesn't even come close to that caliber. And it's frustrating because this is going to be Chris Jones's 3rd contract. It's not like he's holding out like Nick Bosa is, where it's going to be his 2nd contract. This is his 3rd contract. So where are you at when you have when we both agree Patrick Mahomes and Travis Kelce are the best at their position in the league right now, and they don't make top dollar at their position? And Chris Jones, who we just said isn't the best defensive tackle in the league, but wants to make top dollar at his position. Something doesn't make sense there. But, maybe he'll surprise us and he'll be ready to go for week 1. But it's looking like there's going to be multiple weeks missed, because we hear the same report every week of, well, we're talking with them and they're talking with us, but then nothing happens. So that's okay. Chiefs-Lions matchup. Obviously, Chiefs are going to be celebrating their Super Bowl championship. They're going to be raising the flag and just having a party at Arrowhead. And the up-and-coming Detroit Lions are coming into town to try to spoil the party. Tyler, do the Chiefs win this game, or is it going to come down to the wire and maybe the Lions kind of sneak one out here?
Well, as a homer, I really do think the Chiefs are going to win this. All I see right now are like Chiefs are on upset alert, and that to me is mostly clickbait. I think it's unrealistic. Because that's Arrowhead's going to be rocking. they're, like you said, hanging the banner. It's gonna be like we are the champions playing the whole time. And as we've already seen, the Chiefs, with Mahomes and Reed have already won 2. They're not gonna be, walking through this game. They're gonna take it seriously. And I don't think the Lions are good enough to beat the Chiefs. And they can hopefully pick up where they left off last year and be a good team, because I think everybody kind of likes that team. And yeah, I'll be interested to see how they're, because this Jahmyr Gibbs, rookie running back with David Montgomery, and of course Amon-Ra St. Brown. These guys could be very, very spicy, very tricky, but I don't see them winning opening day.
Yeah, it's a tough task to go into Arrowhead and win a game anytime. But yeah, it's also a tough task to beat the Chiefs in September. Patrick Mahomes is 13-3 in the month of September in his entire career. So if that tells you anything,
there you go.
Patrick Mahomes isn't losing.
Right.
And I do like the Lions. I think this is going to be a fun year for Lions fans. This is the first time in a very long time that they have something to be excited about. So
yeah, I don't think it's going to be a blowout or anything. I think it would be awesome to see, again, a close game. I do like the Lions. I like Dan Campbell. I like to kind of root for them, kind of underdog team, and everyone on the team, you really like as players and coaches, but I don't think they're coming in game 1 and beating the Chiefs.
Yeah, I agree. I do think that it is going to be a close game, but I also know Andy Reid has had 4 months to prepare for the Detroit Lions. So yeah. I think they're going to be okay. I will be interested to see, though, what this defense does, what the Chiefs defense does without Chris Jones. I do think that there will be a noticeable absence, but I don't necessarily think that it's going to make or break the Chiefs. But that is Thursday Night Football. Let's look at a couple other matchups that kind of stand out for week 1. Rams, Seahawks, an NFC West rivalry, NFC West week 1 matchup. Rams last season, they had won the Super Bowl in the season prior, and kind of came in and were pretty much awful. They had a lot of injuries, but would they win 4 games last season? It's a team that I don't really know what to make of for this season. And obviously we saw what the Seahawks did. They moved on from Russell Wilson, brought in Geno Smith, and Geno Smith was, in MVP conversations for much of the season. So does Geno Smith, pick up where he left off last season, or will we see that last season was a fluke for Geno Smith and the Seahawks?
Yeah, because there for most of the season, you were like, wow, Geno is like comeback player of the year, and DK Metcalf, Tyler Lockett, both 1,000-yard receivers. Those guys are just probably the 2 of the most underrated tandem possibly in the league. They're just kind of up there in Seattle, and I think most NFL fans kind of know those guys, but I still think they're somehow underrated. But that might be because of Pete Carroll just likes to run the ball so damn much. But that again, Kenneth Walker, I'm not sure is going to be playing in this game. They've got a rookie, Zach Charbonnet, who's also been making waves. So that could be really interesting. And then that again against the Rams defense, we don't really know what that's going to look like. Still have Aaron Donald, but they've got a lot of new stuff going on. But yeah, of course the Rams offense in general is very young as well, and got a lot of new guys coming up.
Yeah, gonna be the Rams season. Yeah, it's gonna be an interesting one to watch because I don't think they're going to be very good. But I don't know about the Seahawks either. So,
right.
Yeah. So Dolphins and Chargers. Let's look at that one. Dolphins, Tua coming back. Obviously, we know the story with him was concussions, head injuries. Is he going to retire? Is he not? I think the Dolphins season is contingent on his health. We saw that a little bit last year. They were terrifying, and they're going to come into this season and they got a tough division with the Bills and the Jets, and they're playing the Chargers. The Chargers just came off of an embarrassing playoff loss. They have a new offensive coordinator, Kellen Moore, and they have a lot to prove. I think that this is a make or break season for head coach Brandon Staley. If he doesn't show significant improvement or he doesn't make a deep playoff run, I think he has to make a deep playoff run to keep his job this season. So I think both of these teams want and have something to prove in week one. So I think this is going to be one of the best games of the week.
For sure. This is really excited to watch this one. Yeah, I really hope the Tua thing can just be a one-off, even though it happened twice. But this is like, he's such a young guy. And we'll look back and say, he had those 2 awful injuries and it never happened again. And he can be as great as he can achieve. But yeah, this, to revisit a story, Tyreek Hill is not going to be suspended for his shenanigans. But yeah, this Dolphins team versus the Chargers, really exciting game. I mean, go down the roster like usual, but I'm really excited to see both of these teams perform, especially against, both very good defenses, so should be a pretty awesome one.
Yeah. Now, if you look at the Chargers on paper,
my God,
they're scary. They're scary.
Yeah. Yes. Do they stay healthy and do they make the right decisions?
Yep. So Bears and Packers. I love this game because it's kind of a new era in Green Bay. Jordan Love, obviously Aaron Rodgers exits, Jordan Love steps in. Jordan Love, Justin Fields, 2 young quarterbacks looking to make a name for themselves. The Green Bay Packers locker room seems to love Jordan Love. They've been backing him up and said that he's made just a ton of great strides and they're excited for him to start. Justin Fields, we know, is a great athlete, but ran for over 1,000 yards last season. But I'm ready to see him actually be a quarterback and kind of see what this Bears team can do and see if he's got what it takes.
Yeah, that's all that they've talked about with Fields this offseason is he has to take the next step and be a more versatile quarterback and not just a running, out of the pocket every time. But they got him some weapons. You got DJ Moore, to step in there, and Chase Claypool. You still got Cole Kmet to throw to, and you never know, he might toss in some little running back tosses or something. But he's that again opens his game, like the way he can run, much like 2 years ago, Mahomes more often than not would just take off, or like in Seahawks quarterback, Broncos quarterback, Russell Wilson.
There you go.
Would always, just be like, hey, I'm just gonna play backyard football and come and get me, and I'm either gonna complete a pass or you'll see me later in the end zone. But yeah, Bears also picked up Yannick Ngakoue. I don't know, he might make some waves there. He's obviously really good. Does he still have that kind of explosiveness on defense? We shall see. But yeah, the Packers, it's a very young team as well. I mean, lots of super young guys or rookies. Jordan Love, but they still have Aaron Jones and AJ Dillon as their running core. Always been super solid. I think they're gonna have that to kind of be their base. but then still be able to throw to this Christian Watson kid who is could be a star, quite honestly. This guy could be insanely good. And yeah, I think both these teams could be really good or kind of middle of the road.
I agree. It's NFC North is an interesting division. It's, Vikings won last season, but it's kind of one of those things where it's really anybody's division at this point. I don't feel strongly one way or the other about any of the teams in there. But it's early. So Cowboys Giants, another division matchup early on in the season, week 1. Both of these teams made the playoffs last season. Dak Prescott coming back, looking to probably, have a better season than he did last year. He kind of got the turnover bug in the second half of the season, and the Giants were kind of a surprise team. They brought in Brian Daboll from the Bills and Mike Kafka from the Chiefs and kind of put some things together and worked to Daniel Jones's strengths and, made a playoff run, won a playoff game, beat the Vikings on the road. And, I will be interested to see if they can, follow that up and have another successful season this year.
Yeah, I mean, the Vikings kind of a pretender team, in my opinion. Kind of no fault of their own. I mean, especially after the quarterback documentary, how hurt that team was, and they still pulled off, all those one-score games. So that is actually a very interesting, division. But yeah, overpaying Daniel Jones. We'll see if that works out for him. They did pay, Saquon Barkley, so they got him back on the field. And I mean, honestly, they've got a pretty solid offense as usual. And Daniel Jones is, a pretty darn good quarterback. Still don't think he's worth that kind of money, but who else are they going to pay?
Yeah, you
can't just pick up a guy off the street.
That is the hard thing. Yeah. You get to a certain point in a quarterback's contract, and do we move forward with him or do we restart? And he showed enough to where they were comfortable moving forward with him, and I think that they have the right coaching staff in place to make sure that they can maximize his talent and compete in a pretty tough NFC East.
Yeah, and we know the Cowboys, we know who they are. It's just, I think they do go into New York and beat this team, and we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Yeah, I think so too. I think the Cowboys have a lot of pressure on them.
Oh yeah,
because they got to get the monkey off their back of they haven't won a playoff game since the 90s, right? Is that accurate?
I don't know. Has it been that long?
Because I know that I've heard people say, hey, we just want to get to an NFC title game. So
right,
there's that. And I think the Cowboys will win or will make the playoffs. It's just a matter of how deep they'll go. And because I think that Philadelphia and San Francisco are the top 2 teams. So it's going to kind of run through them, but I don't like Dak Prescott, and I don't really believe in him to get the Cowboys to where they want to go.
Yeah.
I don't really know what to make of the Trey Lance trade that they made. Is this an effort to put some pressure on Dak? Or what's going on with that? What do you think the Cowboys are thinking with the Trey Lance move?
I don't know, because they're listing him as the third QB, which I guess makes sense. Like Cooper Rush is going to know the offense, better. He's played quite a lot in the last couple seasons, but that was a very weird trade for them.
It was a weird trade for both sides. I think San Francisco.
Oh, Niners, I think, had to get rid of him. Like they were like, we're not going to start you, dude. Who wants this guy?
Right, but man, you better be right about Brock Purdy then,
mm-hmm.
because mean, that's a first round pick in Trey Lance that you're moving on from. And I know that doesn't necessarily mean anything if he hasn't done anything, but he also really hasn't had a chance to do anything. He got injured last season. But Brock Purdy, teams are going to have tape on him now and kind of know how to handle him. Plus, he's coming off of that injury. So, I don't know. San Francisco just better be right about Purdy.
Yeah, that to me is like, I just don't know. I'm like, has he really played enough games and been that good? Like, you just know for a fact he's your guy. I feel like that's one of the biggest gambles. Or maybe I'm just like kind of checked out and just haven't really watched enough tape. But I don't know, that to me just seems insane. I think the whole thing has been kind of mismanaged because they draft, Trey Lance so high, and yeah, I don't know. It's just very, very odd situation.
They moved up to get Trey Lance. It's very weird. I trust that regime. I think that John Lynch and Kyle Shanahan are both, very good at their jobs. So trust their minds and their decision making that they feel good about their quarterback situation. But I want to talk and close on one of the most interesting matchups of the year, honestly.
Sure.
And it's going to happen on Monday Night Football. So Monday Night Football is going to start off with a bang. Bills Jets, week 1. Obviously, the storyline. Bills kind of having some issues, it seems like. And, maybe there's a fracture in their locker room and the window's closing. I still think that the Bills can and will win this division. But you have a Jets team that brought in Aaron Rodgers and has a lot of hype coming into the season around them. And it feels like they could really give the Bills a run for their money in the division. I think the Jets are going to make the playoffs, but are the Jets all hype, or is there juice to this team? We're really going to get to find out in week 1. And this is going to be a statement game if the Jets come out in week 1 and beat the Bills.
Oh my God, that would be amazing, especially as a Chiefs fan. Like, put those guys at 0-1 right off the bat, but especially in their own division. Yeah, this is game of the week by far, and Aaron Rodgers coming out. What is this game? This is okay. So it's a home game for the Jets. I don't think that matters. I think if this was at Buffalo, it'd be a much tougher game. But yeah, I mean, geez, Josh Allen losing to the Jets week 1 in a big spot would be pretty amazing way to start this NFL season.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think that division's going to be very fun to watch. I would love. I'd love for the Bills to get beat.
Right.
But that also means, as a Chiefs fan, like, oh, we really need to take the Jets seriously. And that really depends on how much stock you take into a week 1 matchup, I suppose. Right. But Chiefs get the Jets in week 4. And I was just looking at the schedule, and this probably happens more often than I think. Giants are at home. They play Sunday Night Football, and the Jets are at home. They play Monday Night Football, rather. Obviously, they share a stadium. So that's interesting. It's just a little tidbit. Probably happens more often than I think, but.
Right.
But yeah, man.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hype with this, Garrett Wilson to Aaron Rodgers, or Aaron Rodgers to Garrett Wilson, combo, and you brought on Lazard, and Randall Cobb is out there as well. So
Cole Hardman,
right? He's got lots of guys to throw to. That again, he's one of those quarterbacks. He's already going to make your players better, and those are 4 amazing receivers. So yeah, this will be very interesting. But I mean, again, I think the Bills should have very, very good defense as always. So I think they're going to keep up with anybody. And yeah, like, this is just going to be a great game. It doesn't really matter for the rest of the season. Even if Buffalo loses, it's like that's more for like seeding for the end of the year. Mm-hmm. That's all, it's not going to, say anything about the rest of either of those teams, honestly.
Sure. Yeah. But yeah, the Jets have a solid team. It's just and I think Aaron Rodgers, I know that the Packers missed the playoffs last year, but I also don't think that Aaron Rodgers was really that invested in the season. But adding Aaron Rodgers to your team pretty much guarantees you a playoff berth, right? If you look at his history. So, in the Bills, man, the Bills are. It's going to be interesting. Like I said, I think they're gonna win the division, but just everything you kind of have heard about them throughout the offseason, it kind of makes you wonder. And you were talking about Buffalo's defense is very good. It sounds like they should get Von Miller back week 4, week 5.
Okay.
But really, go ahead.
Well, I did not like any of the Stefon Diggs stuff. Like the whole team seemed so confused about it and they kept backtracking. Like they're like, well, I don't know what he's thinking. And then they were like, oh, no, it was never a big deal. It's like, okay, nobody's buying that, guys. Like, this is clearly something. And now everybody's, flowers and sunshine. So we shall see. I don't know. That guy is so good, but he's kind of a whiner sometimes. And who knows? I don't know how much of, a toxic locker room he's making it, but I think he is frustrated with, as well as the rest of the team. Like they should have probably won, Super Bowl by now.
They should be frustrated because they are a team that everybody is held in high regard and they just have not performed when it comes down to it. You look back, they played the Chiefs in the AFC Championship game and had a 10-point lead. The Chiefs ended up beating them. They played the Chiefs in the division round, had the lead, 13 seconds to go. Yeah. You know what happened there. This last season, played Cincinnati, got absolutely destroyed in the division round. So they just, they're looking like the Cowboys, honestly. Like, look out for them in the regular season, but once it matters, don't worry about it. Yeah, be interesting to follow. Week 1 obviously is underway, and we have football every Sunday until February. So it's a good time of year. Football starting. Major League Baseball playoffs are around the corner. If you like baseball, we have a podcast that comes out every weekend, or every Wednesday rather, called This is Baseball. It is available wherever you get your podcasts. Thank you for listening to the Football Kingdom podcast. He is Tyler Mallon. I'm Brandon Johnson. See you next week.